Hare Krishna, everyone. We'll start with our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Agyan Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamai Dadanti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Satam Sankhitam Savadutam Parijanahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Krishna Padan Sagarana Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gauraki
राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्ण भानुसुते देवी
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
कृपा
कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो
नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा
कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे मूकं करोति वाचालं लंघते यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनमुदारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरम् गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय
कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा
We'll sing a song quickly. Some of the devotees are familiar with this song. It is a very auspicious song sung on Ekadashi especially. So let's sing this one. And we will, this is by Bhakti Vinod Thakur and it's from the book Sharanagati. We'll quickly read the translation. Okay, will the kids like to read one each? Starting from maybe oldest? Would Avinash Prabhu like to start? We'll count him as kids.
Translation number 1. The dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, enthusiastic devotional service and the service to the pure devotees of the highest order are the roots of the creeper of devotion. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Manisha Mataji can read. She was the... Okay.
Manisha Mata.
The holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami are the mother of devotion for those devotees who respect them. Let the holy places of Krishna's pastimes be my places of worship and let the holy places of Krishna pastimes be my places of worship and bless me.
Okay, who's next? Is it Vedai?
May I always visit all the holy places associated with the Leela of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees.
When I hear the sound of Mridanga in my heart, I always desire to join in Kirtan. When I hear the bona fide songs describing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, my heart dances in ecstasy.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Whenever I see the transcendental Shri Vigrahas of Radha Krishna, I am in bliss.
For by taking the Lordship's prasad, we can conquer over the material elements. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One day, while performing devotional practices, I saw my house transformed into Goloka Vrindavan. When I take the Charanamrit of the deity, I see the holy Ganges waters that come from the feet of Lord Vishnu, and my bliss knows no bounds. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who's that?
Pooja?
Pooja Mataji, would you like to read? Mataji, you're on mute.
By seeing the Tulsi tree, my heart feels joy, and Lord Madhava Krishna is also satisfied when I eat the
Prasada.
prasada. Favored by Lord Chaitanya. It's new, it's a life experience. Lord Chaitanya food fond of green vegetables prepared called saag, and there is another song in this book that tells of the amazing effect of this type of prasada.
Hare Krishna. Okay. And let's see. Murli Prabhu, would you like to read the last one?
Mataji. Bhakti Vinodha concludes by saying, whosoever attains the stage of enthusiasm for these devotional practices will be supremely blissful wherever he may be. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for reading, everyone. So this is basically this song starts with glorifying the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees. I hope that everybody saw the little act, the play that kids did about the lotus feet, dust of the lotus feet that Krishna wanted. So even Krishna wants the dust of the lotus feet of devotees. So people like us should also be always looking for the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, because that is what can give us bhakti. Shuddha bhakat charan reinu. So that is the dust of the lotus feet of the Shuddha bhakat, pure devotee. And then this song is glorifying the Madhav Tithi. The song says Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani. Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani means that these Madhav Tithis, these dates like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, these holy days are Krishna's days. They're very dear to Krishna. And they are the mother of Bhakti, Bhakti Janani. They are the mother of Bhakti. So Jatane Palan Kori. So do your Jatan, do your best to Palan Karo. Palan meaning follow these dates as much as possible. Jatane Palan Kori. And so by following these days, so various ways are given how one can achieve pure devotional service, how one can achieve bliss of devotional service is by accepting the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, by celebrating holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, by respecting them, by visiting the holy places, by singing kirtan, by dancing to the tune of mridanga and kartal. So all those things can invoke the devotional service in one's heart by worshipping Tulsi Maharani. So here Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying that by seeing the Tulsi tree, my heart feels joy, and Krishna is also satisfied. So these are all the various ways that one can achieve bhakti or give pleasure not only to self, but also to Krishna. So we'll sing this song. It's unfortunately just me today, so you'll have to bear with me. Nirbhay Prabhu is driving, so I'll be You'll have to bear with my voice today. शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
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 भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमालति कर मूला
भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमालति कर मूला
शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
माधव तीर्थि भक्ति जननी जेतने पालन कोरी
माधव तीर्थि भक्ति जननी जेतन पालन कोरी
कृष्ण बसती बसती बोली परम आदर बोरी
कृष्ण बसती बोली परम आदर बोरी
और अमराज सब स्थाने कोरलो ब्रह्मा नारांगे
गौर सब स्थाने कोरलो ब्रह्मा नारांगे
ते सब स्थान हेरि गोआमि प्रणय भक्त सांगे
ते सब स्थान हेरि गोआमि प्रणय भक्त सांगे
मृदंग वाद्य सुनीते माना अवसर सादा जाचे
मृदंग वाद्य सुनीते माना अवसर सादा जाचे
गौर विहित कीर्तन सोनी आनंद हृदय नाचे शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमालति कर मूला
भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमालति कर मूला
शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परम आनंद होया
जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परम आनंद होया
प्रसाद सेवा से होया सकल प्रपंच जाय हे दीन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया
जे दीन गृहे गृहते गोलोक भाया
चरण सिद्धु देखिया गंगा सुख सीमा पाया
चरण सिद्धु देखिया गंगा सुख सीमा पाया
तुलसी देखी जुराया प्राणा माधव तोषणी जानी
तुलसी जुराया प्राणा माधव तोषणी जानी
गौर प्रिय साक सेवा ने जीवन सार्थक मानी भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजने अनुकूल पाय जाहा
भक्ति विनोद भजने अनुकूल पाय जाहा
प्रति दिवस परम सुखे स्वीकार करो एता
प्रति दिवस परम सुखे स्वीकार करो एता
शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
शुद्ध भक्त चरण भजन
भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलति कर मोला
भक्त सेवा परम प्रेमलति कर
भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला
भक्त चरण भजन
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
So yeah, this song gives various limbs of bhakti, like various parts of our devotional service that we should be doing. So starting with serving the pure devotees, Vaishnav Seva, observing the auspicious days of like Ekadashi or Janmashtami and other, even like appearance and disappearance days of various acharyas or Vishnu Tattvas. And then Kirtan and deity worship, honoring the prasadam, right, prasad seva, and bhajan and kirtan in our house, worshipping Tulsi Maharani. So all those various limbs of bhakti are being glorified by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this song, and they will intensify our bhakti. So all the aim of everything else is to basically be able to chant intensely and sincerely. So all those things increase our sincerity, increase our faith, increase our love towards Krishna, so that when we chant, our chanting is intense. It's in a very deep prayerful mode, focused on Krishna. So the goal of everything is to chant. So once somebody asked Prabhupada, so okay, you said, chant, one should chant this much or that much. Okay, so what happens when you chant? So Prabhupada said, then we chant more. Okay, so if you chant more, then what happens? Then we want to chant even more. So the goal and the process, both are just chanting. So the process is to start chanting even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not focused, even when you don't have full faith and love and devotion. And then the day will come and the goal will be reached where you just want to keep chanting. So the goal and the process both are the same. And everything we do, whether this hearing, whether reading Bhagavad Gita, whether associating with devotees, eating prasadam, deity worship, kirtan, everything is basically, the end goal is to be able to chant sincerely, honestly, deeply. So I was sharing with everybody that Anita Mataji chanted 30 rounds on the auspicious day of Ekadashi yesterday. So that is an inspiration to all of us. So let's keep chanting. Whoever is not, start. And whoever is doing it, keep it up, keep going. And on the auspicious days, do more. Okay. Let's start with our Bhagavad Gita discussion. Anybody remembers anything from last time, or you want to share something? Renuji should have joined us today. We were singing this song with her name in it. It's not very often we have somebody's name in a song. Let's make sure she watches this one. Okay, ready to... So I think we did till 9.12 last time. How people that are that do not have faith in Krishna's transcendental appearance and disappearance and consider him to be an ordinary human, they get bewildered and they get attracted towards demonic, atheistic views, and all their actions will ultimately be frustrated, will be bewildered. So we have to start from 9.13. Yes, Prabhuji. Ravi Prabhu, sharing something?
Yes, last time didn't we talk about how all living beings or living entities depend on Krishna, but Krishna does not depend on them since he's the supreme creator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did that also. Yes. Yes, very right. Thank you. Anybody else wants to share something they remember from last time? Okay, so let's start reading from 9.13. So 9.13 and 14 are very important shlokas worth memorizing. This chapter has many, many important ones that are worth memorizing. And talking about that, does anyone remember 9.2 or memorized it? Let me see. Sorry. Okay, whether he did, Ravi Prabhu did. Okay, let's start with Vaidehi.
Rajavid Rajaguhyam Pavitam Uttamam Pratyakshavargamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam.
Very bold, very nice. Can you say the meaning, like not the exact translation, but the meaning of this shloka?
This knowledge is like the king of all knowledge, the highest knowledge, and it's purest knowledge.
Guhyam, very secretive.
Very secret, confidential.
And what happened when we do it? Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, idam uttamamo, the best. Then Pratakshavagamam, we have to experience on our own. Prataksha, you do it and you experience. Like if you want to know the honey is sweet or not, you eat it. The Prataksha Vagamam Susukham. It gives you the
happiness,
a lot of pleasure. And Kartum Ab never ends. Keep doing. Am I right, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Okay. Would you like to recite, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam idam uttamam
Pavitram.
Sorry. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam pavitram idam uttamama pratakshavagamam susukham pratakshavagamam dharmayam susukham kartum avayam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Avni and Sheetal Mataji, would you like to recite if you have memorized?
I can recite it. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratakshavagamam Dhamyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam.
Avinash Prabhu, have you memorized?
No.
We start Sanskrit class for them.
Will you try, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I can try, but I have to know.
This is easier one to remember because especially for if you know Hindi, you know it is you can correlate word for word. Just try, okay? How about Vinita, Anita Mataji?
I can try, Mataji.
Okay. Yes, next time. Okay. Raina, are you learning some too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to recite the last one that you learned, whichever one, whichever chapter?
Next week.
Next week. Okay. Okay. So every week at least one, right? Should at least one. Especially for kids. Yes. Would you like to
wants to recite?
Okay.
Navya, say loudly.
Rajavidyam Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam.
Okay. Nirbhay, would you like to recite?
Sure. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartamavyayam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, thank you everybody. Okay, we'll keep going. So 9.13 and 14 is, I think, in kids' syllabus to memorize if you want to start working on those. But let's read the translations for 13 and 14 for now. And then we'll read more after that. Okay, then maybe Anita Mataji and Sheetal Mataji, would you like to read one each, 13 and 14?
Sure, Mataji, I can read. Hare Krishna. Text 13. O son of Partha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, let's read 15 also. Actually, they're all three related. Ravi Prabhu, would you like to read 15?
Yes, Mata. Hare Krishna. Others engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge, worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many, and in the universal form. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's just do 9.13, 14, and 15. So 13 and 14 are very, very important. Let's recite 13 at least once. Mahatmanastu mam partha.
Mahatmanastu mam partha.
Devim prakritim ashrita.
Devim prakritim ashrita.
Bhajanti ananya manaso.
Bhajante ananya manaso.
Gyatva bhutadim avyayam.
Gyatva bhutadim avyayam.
Okay, so here Krishna is saying Mahatmanas. He's giving the qualities of a Mahatma. We have, Mahatma is saying, you can call him same as how we talked about a sober, a self-realized, or Dhir Purush, right? But the next stage after being sober or Dhir Purush is to be engaged in devotional service of Krishna. So Krishna is saying that Mahatma is that person, hey Parth, who is dependent on my internal potency. Devim Prakritim Ashrita. So here Devim Prakriti means that he's surrendered unto my internal potency, or the superior nature, basically, right? The internal potency or the superior energy. So he's not dependent on Maya. He's dependent on he has come under the protection of the divine nature, under the protection of the internal potency of Krishna, what we call Radharani, basically, right? Bhajanti ananya manaso. And he worships me with one mind, without deviation of mind. Ananya manaso, that his mind does not go anywhere else. Ananya manaso, that he is focused on me. So without deviation of mind, he worships me. Bhajanti, so bhajan word is used there. They're not saying that we have come a long way from the point of dhyan or focusing on Brahman or Paramatma feature. No, here we are talking about bhajan. Bhajan is always done of a person. So we are talking about the personal form of Krishna now. He does bhajan of me. Gyatva bhutadim avyayam, because he knows that I am the Adi Purush, I am inexhaustible or eternal. Knowing me to be the original inexhaustible person, he's fully engaged in my devotional service with focused mind, ananya manaso, without any deviation of mind. And he's dependent on my internal potency. So that is the meaning of this shloka. We'll discuss it in a few minutes, but since these are related, let's read them very quickly. This next one is the centermost shloka of Bhagavad Gita. So out of the 700 shlokas, this is the centralmost shloka. This is very, very important. This tells you how much you should chant every day. Okay. Satatam kirtayanto maam.
Satatam kirtayanto maam.
Yatantascha dridvrata.
Yatantascha dridvrata.
Namastyantascha maam bhaktya.
Namaste bhaktya.
Nitya yukta upasate.
Nitya yukta upasate.
So that person, that Mahatma, right? So what does he do? He knows that I am the original person. He knows that I'm eternal. He surrenders to my internal potency or superior nature, right? And then he worships me, satatam, every day, all the time. Nitya yukta upasate. Meaning every day with full devotion, he worships me. He does my kirtan. Kirtan means that he glorifies me or chants or worships me. Yatantascha dridvrata. And he does that with determination. So even if some days he doesn't feel like, he still tries. Yatan. Yatan meaning to try. Dridvrata meaning with full determination. Namastyantascha. Namastyan means paying obeisances, that he pays obeisances to me. Who does that? Mam bhaktya, my devotee. So we're not talking about jnanis, yogis, karmis, all those other people. No, who is this person? What is this person called? That person is called Mam Bhaktya, my devotee. My devotee worships me constantly with great determination. He pays obeisances to me, and he does that every day. Upasate, he worships me. So this is the recommendation given by Krishna. He's saying that is what my devotee does. So up to you. If you're my devotee, this is what you do. So once upon a time, somebody asked Prabhupada, you're saying we should chant 16 rounds. Where is it written in Bhagavad Gita that we should be chanting 16 rounds? The number 16 is not given in Bhagavad Gita anywhere. You're just making it up. So Prabhupada said, yes, that's right. Number 16 is not given anywhere in Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna says in the middle of Bhagavad Gita, in the centermost area, Krishna says, Satatam kirtyantu mam, that do my kirtan all the time, Satatam, all the time, Nitya Yukta, every day, all the time. So I have given you a lot of leniency to just chant 16. So at least start with 16, and then you can do Satatam kirtyantu. So Krishna is actually recommending to do the kirtan, to chant all the time. But for us, at least if we can start with 16, Prabhupada said that's enough. So, this was, Prabhupada gave 16. It doesn't mean that he himself was chanting 16 rounds, right? He was chanting much, much more, right? Haridas Thakur Namacharya was chanting 192 rounds every day. So Prabhupada, whatever Prabhupada gave for us householders, for the grihasthas, it was the lowest limit. And we made that lowest limit our highest limit. We think that is the highest limit. So that was the lowest limit given by Prabhupada, that at least do this. We made it our highest limit. Okay, I'm doing 16, so that's the best. But actually Krishna is saying Satatam. Now, Satatam kirtyanto, so we cannot do Satatam, right? We cannot do all the time. We cannot do 192 rounds like Haridas Thakur, right? So what do we do instead? So instead, we convert everything into Krishna consciousness. We do our actions according to Anukul to Krishna. We try to do our work with consciousness of Krishna. We try to read, try to hear. We do other activities in which Krishna can be, we can remember Krishna. Right? So we glorify him. We do our kirtan in other different ways. So chanting is one aspect for us, but we can be engaging ourselves in devotional service in different ways, like the different limbs of bhakti that we discussed in the song today, right? So I just quickly wanted to share, but we'll discuss more. Just want to read the next one too. They're all three of them related. Okay, this one we can just read the translation, and then Krishna is saying, then there are others. So these are my devotees, right? He said, my bhaktya, mam bhaktya. These are my devotees. These are Mahatmas. This is their practice, right? But then he has to give knowledge to other people also, because not everybody is ready to become Krishna's devotee. Not everybody is ready to surrender to Krishna. So Vedas give knowledge for everybody. Vedas give knowledge for all classes of people, all types of consciousness, right? So it's like when you go to a party, if you have, there'll be food for vegetarians also, non-vegetarians also. There is food for everybody. People that are Jains, let's say, they're not eating certain food. So when you go to a party, there is food for everybody. So similarly, Krishna has given food for everyone. But that is the qualification of my devotee. That is my recommendation for my devotee. Now, what do others do? So we say others engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge. So what will they do? They'll do Vedic rituals and sacrifices. They may worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second. So they will worship, there are different classes of people. One class of people thinks that they can become God, that one can become God. So they're called monists. Some people think that this universe or Prakriti is God, right? Some people say that the universal form or the Vishwaroop, Virat Roop is God, right? So the different types of people also, they understand that there is a higher power, higher authority, and they submit to those different authorities. And they understand, basically, they understand Krishna in different ways, and they do all those other things. So somebody will be worshipping demigod, somebody will be worshipping the Virat Roop, somebody will be trying to become God themselves, somebody will be trying to merge with the Brahman, somebody will be trying to do various Vedic rituals, karma kand activities, sacrifices, yagyas, all those. So different things, but at least they are better than atheists. They are better than the lowest level of people and the highest level of people. They're in the middle. They do submit to some higher authority, but they just understand God differently. So Krishna is saying those are the other people. So we're trying to not be the other people, trying to be my devotee, Mam Bhaktya. That's why we are doing those things that Krishna is recommending for the devotees. Does anyone have any thoughts or realizations on this before we discuss it more? And remember that everything we are reading, right, has to be practically applied. It's not just reading. Reading, again, the purpose of everything that we do is to ultimately be able to chant, to ultimately develop love for Krishna. Like Ravi Prabhu was saying, pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam, right? We have to practice this, everything that we are reading. If we don't practice, then it is just theoretical knowledge, but there has to be practical application. Right? It's like saying that I have learned medicine. I have learned all these, medicines that we can give to people. But then when somebody's sick, I refuse to give the medicine. What is the point of that? What is the point of all that knowledge if we don't apply it? So whatever we've learned, we have to apply this knowledge. Krishna is giving us exactly the recommendations. Prabhupada is helping us understand those recommendations. We have to apply. And the application is all these various limbs of bhakti that we should start incorporating. So please, if you feel inspired, let's start chanting at least one round. If you're not, if you're doing that much, then do more. Ravi Prabhu is saying something. Please share, Prabhuji.
I said, Mataji, at least 3 rounds. 1 round तो आदमी को settle होने में लगता है. So 1 round, you just set your mind and your senses together. 2nd round, you apply some devotion. 3rd round, you go a little bit into Krishna. So 1 round तो ठीक है. Something is better than nothing.
Yes. So who will start chanting from this week? 1 to 3 rounds, however much you feel. We have to have some balance, right? If you're doing a lot of, everybody says, oh, हम लोग यही थोड़ी ना करते रहेंगे, हम ये कृष्णा को कितना याद करेंगे? क्या तुम कृष्णा कृष्णा करते रहते हो? We can't keep doing this all day. But then on the other hand, you can't keep doing material activities all day either. That's not balance either. So balancing means doing both of the things, somewhat equally. So right now the pallada of Maya is very heavy, right? You're doing a lot of material activities. So how about starting some chanting to balance it out? There is a great need. There is a great urgency right now. You see how things are so, it is very, like I was telling my mom the other day, the things are getting so bad, like all this corona and everything. Really, does anyone want to take birth in this material world again? It is so dangerous to be here. So do we really want to come back here? Things are not, who knows what kind of life we get, what kind of situation we get, if we get a nice family like this again or not, if we get nice association of devotees like this again or not, if we have a good body or not, if we have enough money to even survive to meet our basic needs again or not. So this human life, we have resources. So let's not waste, let's start. It's very urgent. What was that important and urgent category, right? It is important and urgent. We're so many lifetimes we have not chanted. So this is the life to use it. We are already late actually. So very, very important. So I think Manisha Mataji and Pooja Mataji will start. Yes?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, yes.
Are you doing any Mataji right now? Puja Mataji, Manisha Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I'm doing 2 times daily.
Oh, very good. Very good. Hari Bol.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Hari Bol.
Manisha Mataji, are you doing some? I can't hear. I think your internet is disturbed.
Yeah, connection is not stable.
Mataji, just put it in the chat. It's hard to hear you. Avinash Prabhu, are you doing any?
I'm doing 3 rounds for last 2 weeks.
Okay, very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. And I know Murli Prabhu is doing 1 round, Prabhuji? 1 round. Should I ask Raina?
I did start actually 1 round.
Okay, Hari Bol. Very nice. So like Ravi Prabhu said, 1 round just takes to settle, hai na? So sometimes you feel, oh, I'm not getting much benefit. So keep getting stronger, okay? It's like practice. If you practice, let's say, dancing only for 5 minutes, it's not going to give you much benefit. So you'll think, oh, I'm not making any progress. But that's because you're not practicing enough, right? So that's why you have to practice more to make progress. So it's like practice. Okay, I will not bug anymore. Let's continue. So in the purport, in the purport, I'll just read a few lines that Prabhupada mentioned. So he says the first sign of the Mahatma is that he's already situated in the divine nature. He's not under the control of material nature. So material nature means Maya. He's not under the control of Maya. He is free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. So basically take shelter of Krishna, not the shelter of material nature. And then towards the end, Prabhupada says that such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas or pure devotees. So basically, we can also become Mahatma if we take association of other devotees. Shuddha Charan Bhakat Renu, right? So Shuddha Bhakat Charan Renu. So should take association of Shuddha Bhaktas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features. This is important to note. They are not even attracted by Krishna's other features such as the 4-armed Mahavishnu form. They are simply attracted by the 2-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of Lord and Krishna consciousness. So that's all I wanted to point out from this shloka. And the next one, that's the quality of we are talking about qualifications or qualities of a Mahatma. And then Krishna elaborates that he's always chanting my glories. He's always situated with great determination. He's paying obeisances to me and doing this daily, every day. So I'll just read you a paragraph here. Or yes, Sheetal Mataji, you're asking something?
Yes, Mataji. So I just had a question regarding to what you just read. What is like, why are they not attracted to the 4? Like what, how is it any different from?
Yes, Mataji, very, very important. Nice question. Thanks for bringing it up. So let's see if somebody has any understanding on this. Anita Mataji, would you like to try to answer this?
So I think, Mataji, they just want to go to Krishna's Dham, Goloka, and they are not worried about any thing else, like, you know, the liberation or anything. They just want to focus on going to Krishna's Dham.
But Mataji, what is the difference between the 4-handed form and 2-handed form? Why is Prabhupada saying that they don't even care about the 4-handed form?
That I don't know, Mataji.
Okay. Let's see. Would Murli Prabhu like to tackle this one? Avinash Prabhu, you have some understanding on this? Does everyone understand the question? What is a 4-handed form and 2-handed form? Is that clear? Yes, Prabhuji, I know you know the answers. I'm trying to see if anybody else has any understanding on this. Avinash, would you like to try?
Actually, I haven't heard everything. I went to restroom. So when you were speaking.
Can I try, Mataji? I think I want to try. I'm not sure if it's right or not. So 400 is the God form and 200 is the like human form of Krishna. Is that anywhere?
Okay. So Krishna doesn't have any human form, right?
Avni wants to say
that. Avni wants to answer. Okay, yes, Avni.
Okay. Krishna's the highest.
Come close to the mic, beta.
Krishna is the highest, so that's why they want to go to Krishna.
Yes, yes. Anita Mataji, your understanding is correct, but I think you have worded it a little differently. But I think you understood it. Avni also understands the point. Okay, now Ravi Prabhu will answer then.
I'll try. I think the 4 form of Mahavishnu is in the official. When he's doing his action, he's in the officer form. He's not in a home environment. And Krishna in 200 is like in his home environment. So like it's the same person, but so what we are trying to do is like be with him in his private home, not in his public home. Because generally when you are in the official duty, you are in the public atmosphere. But when you are not doing your public duty, you are in your home. So the pure bhakta wants to be with him like just like his own children, like, you know, completely in a privately mode, not in a public mode. This is what I understand.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. So basically the 200 form of, so the 400 form, right? The Mahavishnu form is a lower understanding. The highest understanding is the 200 form of Krishna. So the Mahatmas or the pure devotees are focused on the highest understanding of Krishna, which is the 200 form. So yes, Prabhuji gave answer very nicely that if you understand somebody to be in the office in the form of Mahavishnu, that is the 400 form. The 200 form is as if somebody's at home, right? So you have a father who goes to the office, he's dressed up, he's not very affectionate to the people there, right? He's just very professional to the people, right? So that form is considered the 400 form. When he's at home, he's loving, he's joking with you, he's playing, he's not in a formal attire, he's in very like homely clothes, right? So that is, you can play with him, you can engage in relationship with him. That is a 200 form. So that is a gross understanding. That is a way to understand this. Now, how is the tattva? What is the difference between the tattva, right, of Mahavishnu or Krishna, right? So Krishna is the original person, the Adi Purush, right? And from him, various incarnations come. Mataji, Anita Mataji, remember we read in Bhagavatam, third chapter, how various portions and expansions come from the Krishna, right? So there are portions and plenary portions of the portions and so on and so forth, right? So Mahavishnu is basically an expansion coming from Krishna for the purpose of material manifestation, right? It is only for like the Karnodaksha Vishnu is laying in the Karna ocean, and from his breathing comes various universes, right? So what is the purpose of that Mahavishnu is the cosmic manifestation, the material manifestation, right? So like Anita Mataji is saying, it is the material, it is a human form. So that cosmic manifestation form, which is shown to us in the material world, is the Mahavishnu form, is the 400 form. So Krishna shows that form to many people, many people, right? When he came, he showed it at the time of birth, he showed it to Devaki and Vasudev, right? Later on, he showed it to Arjuna, he'll show it in the 11th chapter. He showed it in the assembly of Dhritarashtra to so many people, right? When they were trying to bind Krishna, he showed that form. He has shown it to, in many other places also in Mahabharata, he has shown this Virat Roop or Vishwaroop form. So that is the Mahavishnu form, which is a lower understanding, and it is an expansion of Krishna. So in the spiritual tattva, spiritual substance, the difference is that Mahavishnu is an expansion from Krishna. So some qualities are in Mahavishnu are very less compared to the Krishna. And Krishna is the original form, which is the 200 form, which is in Golok Vrindavan and is always there. So some people, most of the people want to imagine God as a very, like a, something unique, cannot be just like us. if he looks like us, then it is an ordinary person. There has to be something very huge with hundreds, thousands of heads and so many arms and so much powers and all this. So Virat Roop, universal form, helps those people in fixing their mind on God. So that is why that is like a material manifestation of that Mahavishnu form. Does that make sense, Sheetal Mataji? Yes, Anita Mataji, sharing something?
Yes, Mataji, for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't remember if we read, or maybe I would have missed the class of our 3rd chapter. So, how about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is also expansion, or like he is the original form?
So, Mataji, basically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna himself. So the way incarnations come is a very complex matter, and we read about it in Bhagavatam. But when Krishna comes, sometimes he comes with all his full opulences, okay? And sometimes when he comes in and shares part relationships, like not all opulences. So when he comes as Krishna himself or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is fully there. He's in his original form. He's fully there, opulent. But let's say when he comes as Lord Ram, a little bit of rasas are more limited. He's also Krishna, right? Lord Ram is also Krishna. But he engages with devotees in little bit of limited rasas. So that incarnation concept is very, very difficult to understand. Some incarnations, for example, Ved Vyas, Narad Muni, they're also called incarnations, but they are empowered incarnations, meaning they've been given certain powers by Krishna. So for example, Ved Vyas is a literary incarnation, right? Even Shivji, Brahmaji, they're guna avatars. So there are Shaktavish avatars, guna avatars. There are so many different kinds, depending on how much potencies are given to that particular expansion or incarnation, those avatars are manifested. But in form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna in Dwapar Yuga are fully opulent. They have all the potencies. But it is complex matter. The main thing is, the basic understanding is that Mahavishnu form or the 400 form is considered lower, and the 200 form is considered the original higher form. And some people ask this question. So Arjun was already engaging in so much rasa, so much friendship and relationships with Krishna in his 200 original form that is much more superior. So why did Krishna show him the 400 form? That is a lower form, right? So high se low kyun chale gaye? Right? This is a question very commonly asked. So would anybody try to answer?
Is it because Arjun wanted to see? He requested to see all the form of God?
Yes. Also more for us. Because for general public, they want to see, like I said, a very extensive, unique form that they can be in awe and reverence. Oh, wow. That. So for us, so for example, somebody can say, oh, Krishna is just an ordinary person. I can also recite 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So what? He was a Mahapurush. He just remembered and memorized some things from Vedas. So what? But then you can ask the person, okay, then you show the universal form like Krishna did in Bhagavad Gita at the time of reciting Bhagavad Gita. So this is to show to ordinary people that this is the God, this is the Bhagwan. Because general public does not understand the 200 form. They consider that as ordinary, right? They want to see a very, very awe-inspiring, aisa bada sa koi cheez. You can see the people entering into him, people coming out of him, universes manifesting from him, thousands of heads, sun and moon are the eyes, all those things. You want to see that. So if you see that, then you will be, oh, wow, this is God. Yes, this has to be God. So that's why he showed it, not so much for Arjuna, but more for us. Okay, very nice question, Mataji. Thank you.
I just wanted to, Mataji, if you allow, I think I've heard one somewhere one of the Bhagavatam I read or I heard, depending on the situation and the time, Krishna comes in the whatever proportion of potency is required. So when he came as a Ram, that time, the whole entire world, the earth, needed some kind of a rule, some kind of a, laws and regulation. So he came and he established those laws and regulations. These are the ideal thing a person should do. But when those things got established, then he didn't have to come again like a Maryada Purushottam Ram. So he came as a Krishna because things were not being followed, all the laws and regulation that was established. So then he came as a Krishna and he had to bring more potency with him. Like he came with the complete, full of opulences. So this is what I heard. So it's like it's the same thing. So not to get confused here between Ram, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These are all the same person. Is coming just depending on the need. Like if I go to the market and if I don't need to buy a big 2 cart full, I don't need to spend that much money. So depending on my need, I spend my money. So same thing, the Krishna come, whatever is need at that particular time, he'll come and he'll only use those opulences. This is what I also understood one time when I was reading the Bhagavatam.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's completely correct. So all incarnations have a purpose. And so like in the time of Buddha, somebody can say why Buddha rejected Vedas when this is the knowledge given by Krishna. So because at that time, so the incarnations happen according to the time, place, and circumstance. So at that time, there was a requirement to dissolve the knowledge of Vedas because people were misusing the knowledge of Vedas. So that's why I said we have to understand that Krishna is the original person and the incarnations are all coming from Krishna. Vishwaroop or Virat Roop is a little bit of a lower understanding, as we are aiming for the highest. We are worshipping in the original form. That's why all our deities you will see are in the two-handed form. And this is a shloka from Bhagavatam that I was referring to, Mataji, when I said from 1st chapter, 3rd canto. Shridhar Mataji, would you like to read this? Maybe we can read the purport also, it'll answer things.
Translation. The conception of the Virat, universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Should I read the purport too?
Sure, Mataji.
The conception of the Lord as the Vishwaroop or the Virat Roop is particularly not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord, because all the incarnations of the Lord mentioned above are transcendental and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. There is no difference between the body and self as there is in the conditioned soul. The Virat Roop is conceived for those who are just neophyte worshippers. For them, the material Virat Roop is presented, and it will be explained in the 2nd canto. In the Virat Roop, the material manifestations of different planets have been conceived as his legs, hands, etc. Actually, all such descriptions are for the neophytes. The neophytes cannot conceive of anything beyond matter. The material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his factual forms. As Paramatma or Supersoul, the Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms, but the outward material form is but an imagination, both for the Lord and for the living being. The present forms of the conditioned souls are also not factual. The conclusion is that the material conception of the body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. Both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. So I hope that explains some things.
Well, it also explained for the people who have some understanding a little more, like not some in the sense, little bit reading for a long time. For a person like Vaidya is like, what? Imaginary? So it can also confuse some people. So it's like, okay.
Imaginary here means, Vaidya, for example, we say that this material world is imaginary, we can say, right? It is not imaginary word. You have to understand how Prabhupada is using it in this context. Just I'm getting this material, this is like dreamlike, right? This is dreamlike. This is not real. This is not real. This is imaginary, right? It doesn't mean that it is still a fact. It is not imaginary. Krishna created this material world also. So it is not like this is in our imagination. That is not what Prabhupada means. Imaginary means that this is created, like this material world we say is an illusion, is what you can call. Illusion is probably a better word to be used here. It is like an illusion created where we are constantly attracted by various things, right? Like in material world, we are attracted by various things, right? So it's not like this thing does not exist. The thing exists. Like, for example, you're watching a movie on the TV, right? So the movie is playing, the people are real, the movie is a real thing, but it is an illusion created to tell you a story, sort of, right? So similarly, this is like an illusion created to attract people towards God. Like that, look, like that's what I was saying, that this is a big form. Look, this is how God is, so powerful. Somebody so superior to you. You should submit to his authority. So at least people will believe in God. So this kind of illusion is created by Krishna so that people will understand a supreme form, a personal form. So they won't keep saying that this is just Brahman, energy, you should merge into something. But the pure devotees understand that this is illusion, and we have to we cannot engage in a loving relationship. Love is the highest thing. We can be fearful of this form, this Virat Roop. We can be fearful or awed by this, but we cannot have a loving relationship with this form. So the loving relationship is possible with the two-handed form, which is the original form. So the word original and imaginary or illusory is the key here. So it's just the context. The way you are understanding imaginary, according to English language, is a little bit differently used by Prabhupada here.
Okay.
Like after you explained, she understood.
Okay, thank you. Nice discussion. Okay, I just wanted to read this area from this part of the purport from the Shloka 9.14. Can Lalita Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji. We need to get super close. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu not as a demigod or human being. This is devotion. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and Smaranam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. This is called full Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you so much. So, and then in the end, Prabhupada is saying, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance or austerity. He can live this life in devotional service guided by an expert spiritual master and in any position, either as a householder, sannyasi, or brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world. So then if he can perform this devotional service, can thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul. So this is the recipe given how to become a Mahatma, Satatam Kirtyanto, 9 processes of devotional service. And he knows that he has to reach Krishna at the end and engage in any one of the 5 rasas with him. And if you see, he engages all activities, mentally, bodily, and vocal, everything. BMW, right? Body, mind, and words. He engages his BMW in Krishna, body, mind, and words. So I know is Ravi Prabhu becoming an owner of BMW. And you know, do you know, anybody knows what is a Tridandi sannyasi? Have you heard of this word, Tridandi? So you know how sannyasis carry a danda with them, right? So they have 3 sticks. You know, Mataji, you're saying?
No. I know in rehab they use that cane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 3 dandis, 3 sticks are connected together, bound, and then in like a cloth that is called 3 dandi. Okay, so sannyasis hold this danda which is bound by, which actually has 3 sticks in it. So each danda represents body, mind, and words, meaning that we have completely submitted to Krishna with body, mind, and words. So that is the full surrender. So that is a Mahatma. So that is called a 3 dandi sannyasi who have completely surrendered. Okay. This next one, so we did this, that different people submit differently, right? So then Krishna talks about other people who are not my devotees. So what they do, they may accept Krishna, they may accept worship of demigods. And the demigods are also ultimately praying to Krishna. So by praying to demigods, you are ultimately offering to Krishna only, but in an indirect way. So that is indirect way of worshipping. Then or worshipping universal form, or impersonalists who focus on the Brahman. So they are worshipping in different ways, basically. And those who worship oneself as God, they are monists who want to become God themselves. But like we just mentioned, the highest motive is love. There are different motives by which people approach God, right? There are 4 motives described. One is fear, other is desires, third is to give gratitude, that okay, Bhagwan, you've given me so much, I should say do something for you. So here you have 1 nariyal because you gave me this. So this is gratitude. So gratitude. And then the highest motive is love. So we're not trying to go to God for either fear or desires or gratitude even. We are going just for pure love. Not because you're doing something nice to me, so I want to say thank you. We are saying just for pure love. So pure love is the Krishna Prema, is the ultimate goal. So that is all I wanted to share from these 3 verses. Please, everybody who has any realizations, anything want to share, go ahead.
Mataji, could you give me the number of that Bhagavatam shloka that you shared earlier?
Yes, Mataji, 1.3.30.
Thank you.
Okay. So we were reading recently in Bhagavatam how Vedvyas had hankering to write Bhagavatam, right? He compiled all the Vedas, he compiled all the Puranas, he compiled Mahabharata, right? Upanishads. And then he still had some hankering. He was feeling very miserable. He was feeling very despondent. And he did not know why. He's like, I have compiled all this literature, yet I'm feeling so miserable. Why is that? So then Narad Muni, his teacher, his spiritual master, came to him and told him the reason, because he could see the heart of his disciple, that a guru understands the heart of his disciple. And Vedvyas, like a proper disciple, shared his heart with Narad Muni that, hey, my guru, can you tell me what is going on with me? Why am I so despondent? I have written all this Vedic literature, I have compiled all the knowledge, all the Brahmgyan, yet I'm not feeling very good. What is going on? So Narad Muni said, that is because you have not mentioned the highest absolute truth. You have not talked about devotional service of the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. You have talked about impersonal features. You have talked about all this karma khandas, rituals. You have talked about all these sacrifices, various things, the way to run a society, the way to conduct a life, rules and regulations, so many things. But you have not talked anything about the bhakti or about the devotion of the Lord, which is the highest goal. So because of the lack of that, you are feeling this way, you're feeling despondent. So that's why he compiled Bhagavatam and gave all this. That is why we just say to stick to Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, because all the other Vedic knowledge, 90% of the Vedic knowledge is about karma khandas, is about Vedic rituals, which a lot of people who are following any kind of religion are just engaged in various rituals that are coming from Vedas, which is fine, but then we leave out the essence, which is the devotional service. So if devotional service is missing, then one feels despondent and cannot fulfill the goal of life. So, so that's why he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. And there is no need to read anything else, he says, right? Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamune Krite Kim Va Parerishvara. That if you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, what is the need to read anything else? Mahamuni has created this Srimad Bhagavatam. He has created everything else also, but this is in his most mature form, in his career, when he was the highest peak of his career, in the most mature form. He is writing this. This is the last word in all the knowledge. So Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are the highest goal, the highest principles. Okay, should we read more, or would you like to discuss something before then? Anybody has any questions? Let's read maybe a couple more. They are all on the same lines. So 13 to 15 was talking about Mahatmas and their work. 16 to 19 are talking about how to perceive God. So if you're okay, we can quickly read 16 to 19. Would somebody like to read one each? Maybe Murli Prabhu, Ravi Prabhu, Avinash, and Lalita Mataji, if you'd like to read one each.
Translation. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, did you say my name or did you say something?
Yes, Mataji, would you read?
I'm the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I'm the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I'm also the Rig Veda, the Sama Veda, and the Yajur Vedas.
Okay.
Murli Prabhuji, you want to read one?
I'm the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refugee, and the most bear friend. I'm the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, number 19.
Yes, Prabhuji.
O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me.
One more actually. Okay, I can read this. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Som juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Sheetal Mataji, would you like to read this one?
When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll just read till here. 9.22 is very, very important one. We'll do that next time. So 9.17 to 21 we read. So here Krishna is, sorry, 16 to 21. 16, Krishna is saying that, so he left off saying that other people do some sacrifices or Vedic rituals, karma kand activities. So he says, but actually I am the ritual. I am the sacrifice. So there are 8 qualities he's mentioning of himself, that I'm the ritual. He says, I'm the kratu. I am the sacrifice or the yajna. I am the oblation that is put into the yajna, or the like the tarpan that is given, right? I'm the yajna, I'm the kratur, swadha, or the oblation or the tarpan, aushadhi, or the herbs, healing herbs. He says, I am the transcendental mantras, the chants, right? I am the agni into which all this is given, agni, and I am the hutam, meaning the offerings that are given. So all these sacrifices, he says, and we've read this in 3rd chapter also, how Krishna is Yajna or Yajna Purush. Vishnu is called the Yajna Purush. So all the rituals, he says, everything is me. So but that means is that all the karma kand activities, all the offerings that are mentioned in Vedas, they're all Krishna. Therefore, if we just focus on Krishna, if you do bhakti, then bhakti of Krishna achieves the same results as performing a sacrifice, as performing a yajna. And these yajnas are done according to the various Puranas, right? Various Shruti and Smriti. So here, these Vedic rituals are called Shruti sacrifices, and these are called Smriti sacrifices. And there is a very beautiful shloka that comes somewhere in the scriptures, which says, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatrik vidim vina ekantaki harir bhakti utpate vakalpate. What that means is that if we do all these yajnas or sacrifices without the Pancharatriki vidhi, so these are mentioned in Purana Pancharatras. So if they are done without those proper vidhis, then they only cause utpat, meaning they don't benefit. They cause utpat. Utpat meaning a lot of disturbance. So in Kali Yuga, since we are not able to do these sacrifices with proper Pancharatriki vidhi, the vidhis that are mentioned in Puranas, we don't have purified priests or Brahmans, the actual Brahmans, to do these sacrifices for us. We are only causing a lot of disturbance. So Krishna says, all those things are me. I am all of those things. And then in the next one, he says that I am the Pita, right? Pitaham. Asya Jagato, that of this world, I am the Pita. Mata, meaning mother. Dhata, meaning the maintainer or the support person. Pitamaha, meaning the grand person, grandfather. Pavitram Omkara, that I am the purifying Om. That I am the knowledge of the Vedas. I am the Rig Ved, Samved, and Yajurved. Initially, there were only 3 Vedas, Rig Ved, Yajurved, and Samved. So he says that I'm all of those things. I'm the father, right? Krishna says later on in the Bhagavad Gita also that I'm the seed-giving father. Aham bij pradapito, right? So he's the seed-giving father. He's mother because he nourishes us, right? He provides us nourishment. He's dhata because he maintains us, right? He provides everything to everybody. He provides to ant as well as an elephant, right? So he maintains this whole creation. So he says, I'm the supporter or the dhata. Pitamaha, he's the grandfather because from him all these expansions come which actually maintain everything. So all these expansions are coming from Krishna only. So Pitamaha. He says, I'm the goal of the Vedas. I'm all the knowledge that is to be known by the Vedas. And he'll say that later in 15th chapter also. I'm the Om or the Pranva, the Pavitra, purifying Om sound of the Vedas. That's also me. Right? That's why when we start any yajnas, any sacrifices, any auspicious activities, we start with the mantras that say Om, because Om is the purifying sound. So Om is that transcendental mantra. Vedas, that all the 3 Vedas, that's also me. So, so he's telling us what is our relationship to him. So he gives us another 8 qualities. In the first shloka, he gave 8 qualities, and he gives another 8 qualities of himself. In the next one, he's giving 12 qualities. He's saying, I am the Gati. Gati means I am the goal. Like, what is your Gati? What is your goal? That is Krishna. I am the Bharata or sustainer. I am the Prabhu, meaning Lord. Sakshi, meaning I'm the witness, right? He's witness, like a Paramatma inside us. He's witnessing all our activities. Nivas, meaning he's the abode for us. Sharanam, the refuge, the shelter. He's our Sharan, shelter for us. Suhirit, he's our best friend or well-wisher. He's actually the only well-wisher. Prabhava, Prabhava means he's the creation. He says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Later on in the in 10.8, he says, I'm Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, that I'm the source of all creation. Pralya, that I'm the annihilation as well. Sthanam, Sthanam meaning cause of all causes. Nidhanam, meaning I'm the resting place where everything comes to rest. So when everything is annihilated, where do we go? We go and reside in the body of Mahavishnu. So Nidhanam, I'm the resting place. Bijam, and that eternal seed, the inexhaustible seed. So he says, I'm all those things, right? Out of these, the most important thing for us to remember is that he's our shelter and he's our well-wisher. That is why a true friend, a true mother, a true father, a true guru is considered the one who will connect you to Krishna, because Krishna is the ultimate well-wisher. So if somebody is actually your well-wisher, then they will connect you to Krishna, right? Because he's the Suhrit, he's the actual Suhrit. Everybody else we think maybe are well-wisher, but unless they connect us to Krishna, they are just enhancing our material situation, not connecting us to Krishna. Right? We've taken the example of the jail many times, right? If somebody can release you out of the jail, that will be the best person for that prisoner, or will it be the person who's just giving them a better cell in the jail? Somebody can give you a little better food in the jail. Somebody can give you a better place to sleep in the jail. Okay, let me give you a better cell. Let me give you a refrigerator in the jail. Maybe you can enjoy some better food. Other prisoners are getting this food. Why don't you eat this food? So yes, those are also good things, but they are still only improving your temporary situation while in the jail. But if somebody can get you out of the jail, wouldn't that be the best friend, the only well-wisher? So the goal is to get out of the jail. And here also Prabhupada in the purport says that a pure devotee, a Mahatma, actually sees Krishna in everything. If you read this one, he says, whenever we have to take protection, we should know that our protection must be a living force. Krishna is the supreme living entity. Krishna is the source of our generation, or the supreme father. No one can be a better friend than Krishna, nor can anyone be a better well-wisher. So that is the point we have to understand. So instead of blaming him, like I was saying in this difficult time of Corona, instead of blaming him, if we take shelter of him, then that will be a better situation for us than to start lamenting. I see, actually the reason I send that message is I see on Facebook and a lot of people in India are lamenting, blaming God. Why did we build so many temples? Why we should have built more hospitals? Why is God doing this? My so-and-so died because of Corona. But if we had properly taken shelter of God, there wouldn't have been such a distressing situation. Actually, people wouldn't have been in so much meat eating that caused all this virus to come. All these resources that are spent in the name of people will be working more conscientiously, so that there won't be so much corruption, so that all the money that should be used for the welfare of human beings is actually going everywhere. People are selling these antibodies for Corona without any medicine in it. They're just selling like saline or just water inside the vials, right? All this corruption, all this hankering for money, all this would not be there if we had actually practiced proper spirituality. If people were God conscious or Krishna conscious, all these things, this poor state wouldn't have been there. People would have been living harmoniously and not killing animals and not being so corrupt. So much differences in the socioeconomic status. All these things wouldn't have been there actually. So we created all this situation for ourselves. It's like in a jail, people start fighting with each other. Oh, ye mera khana, ye tera khana. I'm gonna take this cell in the jail. I'm gonna, people start lording it over each other in a jail, right? There are some prisoners that are very strong. They will start bullying the small ones, right? So that's what we are doing, basically, fighting with each other in a jail and not trying to get out of there. So with proper spiritual education, if the temples are also given proper spiritual education, people would have been more God conscious, and some of the situation could have been mitigated. Okay. Anybody else would like to share anything?
Ultimately, Mataji, everything comes down to one point: lack of knowledge. So lack of knowledge is leading to all this kind of a blame game and lamentation. So it's the foundation itself is not there. So now we can't even build the foundation because this is not the right, they will not even listen. So it's a very clear rule. Every action has a reaction. So it's whatever is happening, it's all done by us. If we drive on a road and don't follow the rules of the road and the driving, then we meet an accident. It doesn't mean that the problem is with the person who made the road. It's the one who is driving on the road. So the same thing. So let the people lament and think. At least we are understanding something and we can share with something with them that, okay, it's knowledge. You have to understand, put a right foundation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sheetal Mataji was sharing something?
No, Mataji, I was just thinking about that the Veda part. It looks like they refer to only 3 Vedas. Atharva Veda is missing.
Yes, Mataji. In the beginning, there were only 3 Vedas.
Yes.
So actually, in this shloka,
yes, yeah, later.
In this shloka, not this one. One of the shlokas, I think it's coming. It talks about Trividya.
Trividya, yes.
Yeah, it's coming in 20. Yeah. So this one also in 19. So Krishna is saying that I give the heat, I withhold and send forth the rain. I'm immortality and I'm also the death personified. So basically, Krishna is saying that I'm all of those things, whether it's rain or whether it's heat. So the people that pure devotees see Krishna's hand in everything, and they just take shelter of him. You are our refuge. And so this is the Trividya part in the next one. Trividya, Mam, Soma, Pahaputa. So people that are the knowers of the 3 Vedas, so according to the regulations of Vedas, they conduct their life. They worship demigods. They do a lot of rituals and various karmkand activities. And finally, with a lot of austerities, a lot of rituals and all, they're able to reach the heavenly planets, right? So they're also approaching Krishna because demigods and other rituals and everything is meant for Krishna only. But they're doing this indirectly. They're not doing it directly. So the result of those activities are that they will reach the heavenly planets. They will be purified of their sins because they did a lot of yagyas and a lot of austerities. So they'll take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, meaning Swarglok, where they will enjoy godly delights. We cannot even imagine the kind of delights, the kind of opulences Swarg has. If we think material world is attractive, there are so many attractions, we keep getting trapped in Maya here. Swarg has even more delights, more opulences, much more beautiful people, much more beautiful things, places and whatnot. So there, if somebody goes, it's not a very high destination because actually they will completely forget Krishna. If we forget Krishna here on earth where there are so many dukkhas, on Swarg actually there are no dukkhas. So you go there, you will enjoy for many, many years, hundreds and thousands of years you will enjoy there. And then once those results of those pious activities are finished, you fall down again. So actually you won't be able to go to any spiritual dham, spiritual Krishna's eternal abode from the Swarg. You may actually fall down. The potential to fall down is more. The potential to forget Krishna is even more in godly planets. And so Krishna says that in the next verse, that when they have thus enjoyed those pleasures and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they'll return to the mortal planet, meaning the earthly planets again. And thus, those who seek sense enjoyment but by adhering to the principles of 3 Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So they will only be entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Does that make sense about going to the Swarglok, exhausting the pious activities? Anybody has any questions about that? Nita Mataji, were you clear on that?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Would anyone like to share any realizations? Manisha Mataji, I didn't get anything on the chat from you. You were sharing your round?
I have sent you on the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay, so let's, should we chant or do we, is there anybody who has any thoughts, want to share anything? So this reading, I know that I said that we have to apply this knowledge, right? But reading of Bhagavad Gita also should eventually purify us, where we develop this desire to chant. In this regard, I'll quickly share a small story. So once there was a blacksmith. He had this. He told his. He was very religiously inclined, and he used to read the scriptures and wanted his son to read the scriptures as well. So he told his son many times, why don't you start reading some Bhagavad Gita or some other, scriptures, and that will help you. It will help you progress, help you advance in your spiritual path. So he tried. He said, Father, I've tried many times, but I can't seem to understand anything. I think this is too tough for me. I don't think I'm educated enough to understand this complex knowledge. So I really don't want to read. So his father would try to tell him, even if you read without understanding, it's okay. Slowly when Krishna sees your effort, he will start giving you the understanding. He will start giving you the knowledge, so you'll be able to understand this. Okay, but he just could not take it up. He just could not start reading Bhagavad Gita. So one day, his father gave him this basket. The basket was made of like these उसकी बनी होती है ना, like bamboo type की, जिसमें होल से होते हैं, right? उसको what do you call that in Hindi? जूट टाइप की बास्केट, जिसमें होल्स होते हैं, जो ऐसे जोड़ जोड़ के बनती है, like from various तिनकों से या उससे जोड़ के बनती है, right? So basically it's a basket made of bamboo or something, which is like holes in it. It can carry like solid stuff but not liquid, right? Because it has holes, so it can carry something solid. So he used to carry coal in it. This coal you can put in that basket. So he used to carry a lot of coal in it. Ultimately, that basket became really black and very, very dirty with all the coal in it. So one day, this guy told his son, "Son, can you fetch some water for me in this basket from the river nearby?" He said, "Father, this is not the right basket for the water. Water will just leak out." He said, "No, just try if you can do that." So he went and brought some water. By the time he came back, all the water had seeped out of the basket, right? So his father said, "Go again, please go again. Just do this for me." So in this way, that son made many, many trips to the river. He kept going, he kept bringing water. By the time he'll come back, all the water will leak out, and there won't be any water left in the basket. So the father said, "Please keep trying a few more times, just for my sake. You can do this for me." So he kept trying. Finally, he gave up. He said, "Father, I cannot do this. I cannot bring any water in this basket. What kind of task is this? This basket is not meant for water. It will leak out of this." So he said, "Yes, I agree. But look at the basket. When you started, it was dirty. It was black. But with all these strips, all this water that you try to put in it, the basket has become completely clean. There is not even a shed of coal left in the basket." So he said, similarly, if you kept trying to read Bhagavad Gita, try reciting the shlokas, try reading, even though you don't understand right now, you will still get purified. So a lot of times, initially, it seems that this is very complex. I don't understand what is 200 form, 400 form, what sacrifices, demigod worship, so many difficult things, various yogas are coming. But just this is Bhagwan's, this is Krishna's words. By reciting these words, by reading this, we will still get purified. Our consciousness will still get purified. And Krishna sees those efforts, and he will make the knowledge strong in us. The day will come when we'll start understanding it, when we will start comprehending it and start distributing it to other people, when our conviction will become strong in Krishna. But with determination, like we read today, Dridvrata, right? The Mahatmas are those people. Mahatma is not people that gave up. Mahatmas are made when they're determinantly, very faithfully, with conviction, they're on a path. So they have the conviction that Rakshi Shaibi iti Vishwaso, that Krishna will protect me. Krishna is my Paramgati. Krishna is my goal of life. Once we know that, then when we start on that path, then eventually Krishna will give us the right understanding, right knowledge. He will bring the devotees in our life. He will bring the right devotees in our life with whose association we will grow even more. So it is just our efforts. So that is the analogy of that basket, that the basket got cleaned. Our consciousness will also eventually get cleaned.
It's called Tokri Mataji. In Hindi इसको टोकरी बोलते हैं, टोकरी.
So whoever, if you think, like, especially new people, we've started from the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, you think, oh, what is this? This is too hard. Don't give up. Krishna sees our intentions and efforts only. Just stay on this path and soon the understanding will develop.
Be serious and be sincere. S square.
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, let's chant.
We have class in the evening.
There is no class?
No, Prabhuji has cancelled it.
Oh, but Sunday को होती है वो तो, right?
नहीं, Saturday होती है माताजी.
अच्छा, क्लास
4:30 हम लोग वाली क्लास.
बच्चों
की अभी तक नहीं कुछ लिखे. बड़ों वाली Saturday वाली क्लास कैंसिल हो गई.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes. Can we chant? Very good.